Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Bad Lit Friends, the writing podcast that still barely knows what it's doing. This is episode 8 of season 2. I am Kirk Rafferty, your host, and this is my co-host.
Hi, I'm Meagan Thompson-Mann, and today we are talking about something that everybody loves, social media. God.
I'm not even going to say yay ironically this time.
No. Look, at this point, social media is something that pretty much everybody already has an opinion on, and
Just like,
assholes.
yeah.
So I'm
yeah.
still not kidding. I'm trying to make a
No,
joke.
we
If
don't have
you are
opinions on assholes, do we? I ruined it, Meagan.
necessary for bodily functioning, but not necessarily very nice. Unlike social media, which is not necessary. Or is it? That's the topic of today's episode.
Ooh,
See what I did
nice
there?
lead in. Nice lead in.
Yeah. This is what you get when you get recording on a Sunday morning as opposed to Friday evening after I'm exhausted from a day's work in the law mines. I am the horrible person who suggested the topic of social media to Kirk several times, and he eventually folded.
You know what? Just to get it out of the way, just to be done with it, put it in our rearview mirror and never speak of it again.
Except for in the context of hot goss, in which case
Yeah.
we will be talking about it because
No.
without social media, there is no hot goss. That's okay. It's got its case uses. So, but there are actually some good things that you can get out of social media, some of which we've discussed before, but also a couple that we have not.
But first, how's your writing going?
Today is Sunday, March 1st. Yesterday was an interesting day on the global scene, and
Mm.
it was very distracting for very good reasons. And it took me quite a while to kind of get into the right headspace to write. But when I did write, I wrote quite a lot. The end of book 2 is in view. I have my outline. The outline is still changing, but the outline says to me that after this one, I have 4 chapters to go. So I'm feeling pretty
Yay.
good about it. Yep. Also,
Awesome.
Kirk and I have been egging each other on with agent recommendations for querying this week. That's after recording today. I will be querying, and
Yay.
All
All
yay!
kinds of good news on the Meagan front.
Yeah, and just to say also that my case that's in trial settled. So happy. The other thing is that I've been thinking a lot about book 3 and which way I'm going to go. Am I going to write another book in this universe that I've been writing in, which was originally my plan, or am I going to pivot over to that political game show one I was talking about last week? I've been thinking a lot about it, and I got a little while to think about it, but I don't know. How about you?
Well, I definitely have opinions on which way you should go, but then, that's just my
Well,
opinion,
tell me.
man. No, I think you should do the political thing. I think it sounds very cool. Sounds very
Yeah.
topical,
Well, actually, I meant to
sadly.
say sadly, yes. I meant to point this out. So I was doing a online pitch thing this past week, and I decided, why the hell not make a mood board? Because I love making mood boards.
Mhm.
Make a mood board and some pitches for this book that I've only written 2 chapters of, and I'm going to completely rework. And I wanted to get comps. Now, I have said many times on this very podcast, comps aren't as hard as you think they are, and you just need to
Right.
get over
They're easy
yourself.
peasy, right?
They really are. Friends. I have had such a hard time finding comps for this work because nobody is writing light political satire at the moment. This isn't, if I were writing a thriller, fine. If I were writing, heavy duty literary fiction, fine. If I were writing a rom-com, fine. I am not writing, this is not a romance. There's romantic elements, not a romance. I am having problems. So, because the closest thing I could come up with is a 30-year-old book, primary colors, and
Mm.
it's it, mm, 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 mm. So
So it just goes to tell you that, we can hand out the advice. It's so easy to hand out advice.
yes,
It's a little harder to put it into practice. What you could do is really kind of look beyond the political aspects of your book and
Yeah.
think more in terms of, like, themes within your book and
Yeah.
character relationships within your book, tone, other things like that.
Yeah.
So, if you can't find things necessarily political, dive a little deeper into what you're actually doing because your story is more about than just politics.
It's yeah,
So,
it's about social media, it's about reality television, and it's satire. So I started thinking more about satire and started kind of tugging at what do we have in along the lines of, like, Yellowface almost, like that kind of.
yeah.
So I'm working on it, but this book needs to be written first. But I'm just saying,
Radio.
do as I say, not as I do.
So my writing is going swell, I guess. I said in the last episode that I had kind of retooled my book. I am making great progress now and it's it's coming together well. So nothing too crazy to report. I did have a moment. I shared this with you last week where this plot twist just hit me in the face full on
Mm.
and it turned out that I had set up this plot twist from the very beginning. Like, it fell together so naturally as if I had actually thought of this plot twist from the very beginning, but no, it was not there, but I had set it up brilliantly, if I do say so myself.
Mhm.
So I'm just all week I've just been giggling like an evil scientist 'cause I can't believe it that it just came together like
Oh, you 100% meant it the whole way. You just didn't know.
I did, and, when I go on my book tour and I'm on the morning shows and Oprah's book club and,
Mhm, mhm.
all the other stuff, that's how I'll be spinning that is, yes, from the very beginning, I had fully intended for this to happen.
We both know that you're a wordsmith of great
That's right.
renown and skill. Of
That's
course,
right.
you set it up from the beginning. So, I do love that though. When I finished book 1 and I was reading it through it again, I realized, like, I have a theme that I didn't even realize was there. Like, from the beginning, I had a theme, and I went,
Yeah.
"Holy shit. Holy shit." So, and you can too. So, let's talk about these nasty words, social media. I'm just gonna kick off by saying this about social media. I was a not the earliest adopter of social media, I wasn't on MySpace. I think I created a profile and never did anything with it. It may be because I'm just, like, the tiniest bit too old, but I also know plenty of people my age who are very
I did
active on
MySpace.
MySpace.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
MySpace. I think my MySpace page is still there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mine is probably too, but I did almost nothing with it because most of the people that I was friends with at the time weren't doing anything on MySpace either. So, I had a Friendster account that I also didn't do anything with. Everything seemed to require too much effort for me, and I didn't know what was expected. I'd been on Usenet, in that's how old I am, people. Um,
Yeah. Man, I used to do a lot of Usenet.
yeah, I was on Usenet before. I made the error of mentioning that I was a woman, and then I wasn't on Usenet anymore.
Yeah, I'm sure that went well.
I got grossed out, and I can still remember exactly where I was when I left Usenet forever. It was April 1995, and I was sitting in the computer lab in Cross Campus Library, which no longer exists, at Yale, and just typing out on the coffee forum, and someone said something very and then I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
"Goodbye."
people think that this is that women being treated shittily on the internet is kind of a new thing, since
Nope.
Twitter or whatever, but no, it's been happening
Nope.
since multiple people could communicate with each other across the tubes. It's just been a thing, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, and I'd been having fun for, like, 2 or 3 months, just talking to people, and I was like, "Oh, this is super cool," and then I think it was something in passing where I mentioned, like, "Oh, I got a new skirt," or something like that from that place, "Oh, you wear skirts? Are you a girl?" And I'm like, "Yeah," and then it was, the deluge, and I was like, "Oh, goodbye." But I joined Facebook, in 2007. It's halcyon years, I would say, honestly, because there were enough people on there that weren't just college kids.
Mhm.
Kirk and I were once young too, or young-ish, and, being in my early 30s on social media, it was actually kinda great. I was reconnecting. I'd been living abroad for so long, and I was reconnecting with people I went to high school with and college with, and it was great. I mean, it was connecting with people I actually wanted to talk to, and also having fun doing troll experiments. You may remember this, Kirk, but I had a troll page about the Clay Aiken pin forum. This was
Oh my
a
god.
long time ago.
Yeah.
So long
Yeah.
ago.
That's
So
ringing a bell. Wow, yeah.
I found out that there were people, mostly women, who were obsessed with collecting Clay Aiken. I mean, God, you have to be old if you even know who that is. Clay Aiken pins and trading them, and I was like, "This is so weird. There's no Clay Aiken pin fan appreciation page. I'll create one," and created it, and then I was deluged with women, middle-aged women from the Midwest who wanted to be members of this Facebook group. I was like, "What have I done?"
That's hilarious.
And I was very active. It was so much. It was a lot of fun, and, of course, I met Kirk on a, internet forum, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna say, like, those mid-2000s were kind of a great time. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, I saw some dumb stuff, stupid stuff, disgusting
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
but
there was still the problematic crap that you would see. If, for example, Nazis showed up into your forum, they were
yeah,
gone.
they were
Like,
gone.
immediately, unless it's a Nazi forum and most of us choose not to hang out in Nazi
Yeah,
forums.
yeah, it
So,
was yeah, yeah.
yeah, there was and, man, Twitter could be horrible,
Mhm.
but man, it wasn't until Elon got his hands on it, that it was
Yeah.
truly, truly just vile is even too soft a word for this.
Yeah, yeah. But if I think back to that time about the things that I liked, there's still the things that I like about social media,
Mhm,
like connecting with people that you actually want to speak with, that you wouldn't normally have any opportunity to meet and connect with. And it's as we said the other week, it's the empathy, stupid. It's
mhm.
the opportunity to see life through other people's eyes. This is all good stuff. This is social media when it's working well. And there is the question you have to ask yourself as a writer is, why should everybody else is doing it, so why should I? Which is a good question. That's a better question
Mhm,
than why
mhm.
shouldn't I? Because as we will discuss, there are arguments for and against doing this. It is there are upsides, and we've talked about some of them, but it's not all, you know, sunshine and lollipops out there, as everybody, I think,
Yeah,
knows by now.
and I would make the argument that it is probably often not sunshine, and I'm not sure I'd want any lollipops that people are offering.
But let's be real. There is an expectation that writers who are trying to make even a tiny name for themselves get published either trad pub, or if they want to go indie, that they are expected to build a platform, and that you need to start building that platform as soon as possible.
And let's caveat that by saying there are authors out there who have made a go of it without ever stepping into any of the social media platforms, who actually actively resist social media, and they have done just fine.
Mhm.
What I think is important to know about that is those authors are outliers, not because they got lucky, but because they busted their asses doing newsletters, advertising, other types of outreach
Mhm.
that got them up there. It is at this point in on Sunday, March 1st, the year of our Lord 2026, that is very, very difficult path forward. So when we talk about you must be on social media, what we're actually saying, keep that caveat in mind.
Yeah, yeah. As I said, it's only an expectation, and I said only the other week, I like to subvert expectations. This is
Hmm.
one that I decided not to subvert. I gave in. I had left most social media before I got involved with writing a little bit more, and this is in scare quotes, seriously, because I hated it because it was making me hate people that I cared about. And I said, I don't need to do that. I don't need to know. It wasn't even necessarily like political things that were pissing me off. It was like I don't need to know about, your dog's farts. I don't need to know about your the sale that your store is having. It's too much. It was too much noise and very distracting, and the pull towards constant engagement was too much, and I was like, what am I doing? I have a full-time job. I can't do all of this stuff, so I just ghosted it. One day I was like, that's it, goodbye. I left that, and then also the 2016 election was the huge catalyst for me walking away, where I just, people whose opinion I had respected, who were mostly politically aligned with me, were saying things that I found just really messed up. And I
Yeah.
said, what do I need? So goodbye.
Yeah. I abandoned Facebook, um, as a platform really to do much of anything. I do have an author page on Facebook that is woefully underdeveloped and underposted on, mostly because my personal Facebook page I have almost completely abandoned. I just and a lot of it does have to do with politics. I'm just pretty disgusted by the way the world is running right now and disgusted by some, people that I love who say some of the most vile things. So I have abandoned Facebook largely because I don't want to wind up hating people that I have not hated before in my life.
It's hard. It's really hard
Yeah.
because Facebook is actually useful. And
Yeah.
we learned this from talking to Jessica Lunt the other week that Facebook, if you are an indie author, it is
Yes.
priceless for
Yes.
promoting your works, that it's where you go to get readers who buy your stuff.
Carrie Barnes says the same thing, that Facebook by far outperforms any other platform for indie authors. Yeah.
It's amazing, and every time people say, "Well, if writers would just find another platform." It's not that easy. It's not the writers that are the problem. It's the readers, and if the
It's
readers
the
are
Nazis. No,
Oh, no, they
yes.
are the problem. The Nazis are definitely the problem. The Nazis are always the problem. But if readers are in a particular space, you have to go to where they are. If you want to get
And
readers
readers
into
are on
another
Facebook. Yeah.
they're on Facebook.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you want to get them to move to some other space, you're going to need to expect that will take time.
Yeah. Or expect that it just ain't happening.
For the foreseeable future, it's not happening. You can see it happening right now on Twitter and Bluesky, where the agents have, for better or for worse, stayed on Twitter even as writers have been
Yeah.
migrating to Bluesky.
Which is inexplicable to me. It is absolutely inexplicable why anybody in our industry would stay on Twitter. But that's, I guess, a whole other argument.
It
Wait, we're
is.
talking about social media,
No,
so
we
I
are
guess
talking
it's
about
not
social
another.
media. So it's so frustrating because what you hear, or what I've seen posted online about this, is, well, that's where the writers are. Well, they're not. There are people who are straddling right now between these two platforms,
Mhm.
trying to migrate. But in the past couple of weeks, I've seen a whole bunch of posts on Blue Sky that are like, I just nuked everything on Twitter. It's all gone. Bye, bye, bye. It's gone. Or I'm in the process of just dragging all of my archives out of Twitter right now. Any
Yeah.
posts that I
Yeah.
think were useful, I'm gonna put on my website. I'm gonna take that information, I'm gonna put it on my website, and then I'm gonna nuke it. Something happened, an event last week happened on Blue Sky that had, up until this year, only taken place on Twitter, as far as I'm aware, which is the manuscript wish list. It was kind of a pitch event, but not really. It was agents pitching themselves
Mhm.
to writers, come and pitch me, come and query me. And there were a bunch of agents who were like, I just set up my Blue Sky profile. for this event.
Yeah, I was happy to see that.
It was great, and it only took place on Bluesky.
As a former Twitter user, we have had MSWL pitches before on Twitter. There were so many more agents on Twitter at the time. So when I saw how many agents participated in Blue Sky, I was initially a little bit sad that it just, it didn't seem like we had the volume of agents. But then on the other hand, I got to thinking about it and, actually, so as you say, a lot of the agents were saying this prompted me to set up my Blue Sky profile. But it also showed me that, oh, there is a little bit of hope here. It does seem like agents are slowly, if not migrating whole cloth, at least, at least Blue Sky is sort of on their radar as a platform. Most agents who have migrated have either gone to Instagram or Threads or both.
Mhm,
Threads really seems to be the writer and agent, the alternate platform of choice right now.
mhm, mhm.
And, we both know that we have feelings about Threads, but
Oh,
hopefully we'll
yeah.
see more on Blue Sky.
Yeah, I would like to see more on Blue Sky, not just because, I'm a lib and I love my safe spaces with padded walls and therapy dogs, but also I just don't wanna be giving any more traffic to Zuckerberg. I think it's one thing to kind of read stuff on Instagram and Threads, and another thing to, like, actively participate in it. And this is something that I've really struggled with because I'm asking myself, like, am I limiting myself by just staying on Blue Sky if there are, all these other writers and readers and agents out there on Instagram and on Threads? And I thought, you know what? Not at the expense of my personal well-being. Like, I don't need to do that.
A lot of us left Twitter. I mean, many, many people left Twitter because of Elon Musk, right? Because he is an absolute raving lunatic. And so where do we go? We went to Threads. And if we think that Zuckerberg is much better than Musk, he's not. He's just not running his mouth. He is still just as horrible.
The danger is that he's sane and he's choosing to do things. And he's you know Elon is unpredictable. Zuckerberg is predictable in the sense that he's looking out for the bottom dollar. And that's look, billionaires exist. There's too many of them now, and there's a reason why they're billionaires. There aren't it's I'm not hashtag not all billionaires, because I think Mackenzie Scott is doing a lot of really good stuff out there, and you don't hear
You know
anything
what's
bad
really
about
funny?
her. What?
I like to think that there's probably about 2 people listening to this podcast right now that didn't know our politics and are just now going, "Oh."
Oh, they're having that moment, and they're like, "But I never knew that Rage Against the Machine had those kind of politics. God. Oh, Green Day, what are you talking about?" It's yeah, yeah, sorry, if you didn't know
Yeah,
already.
this is what you get.
Surprise! And, honestly, every day that goes by, I'm just pushing the dial a little bit further to the left.
I know that there may be like, season 4 of Badlit Friends may just be us losing our shit, right? Yeah.
Well, maybe we will be so well known by then that we'll be able to get like AOC on to talk with us,
Well, there you go. Yeah,
but we're
yeah.
gonna be to the left of AOC by then.
And that's it. We just lost our last conservative listener.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
sorry. Bye-bye. So, yeah, look, I feel like it's just if you have to choose between evil billionaires, there are some better cases that you can make for the Zuckerberg universe,
Yeah, yeah.
unfortunately.
The
But this is
slightly
these are
lesser of 2 evils, yeah.
this is hair thin differentiation, but only because I Zuckerberg is an opportunist, and when woke 2.0 comes in, and it will, he's gonna ride that wave for as long as it's cresting, and we might see some better corporate behavior. I am an optimist, so I'm hoping, but, um Twitter is I will not call it, and I do not call it by the other name. I do not recognize that name at all. Twitter is run
I
by
don't
a
recognize it by
lunatic.
the other name because I know it pisses him off when people don't do that. So
Exactly.
I would otherwise have no problem calling it by its other name, but I just won't because I get satisfaction knowing that if he even knew who I was and knew I wasn't calling it by the
Yeah.
other name,
I think
it
this
would
is a
make him
very
pissy.
good position to be operating from. Someone's saying the other day that all of this makes more sense if you consider that it's a bunch of 12-year-olds running everything. All of the humor, all of the bad
Mhm,
decision making,
mhm,
all of
mhm,
the confusion about, what are girls like? Oh, they've got cooties.
mhm.
All of it makes so much more sense if you believe that we are governed by 12-year-olds. Having been a 12-year-old, I was a not good person at that time. There was a seed of the beautiful, perfect person I am now, but at 12, I was a fucking monster. Mom, I know you're listening. You will endorse this. Perhaps your opinion of me as being the most annoying person you know comes from your experience of me being 12. So, I have a question for you.
Mhm.
Do you think you need to build a platform? Do you think most people should start building a platform before they get serious about writing for publication?
Yeah, I do. And if for nothing else, then it readies you. So let's imagine that if you're looking for trad pub tomorrow, you sign with a publisher, okay? And if you're an indie author, tomorrow your book launches, or today your book launched and it is gangbusters, right? You're starting to get a lot of attention on it. In either of those scenarios, or even lesser scenarios, that momentum is not going to ride itself. You are going to have to work to create that, or to keep that momentum going. And for the traditional pub people, I have news for you. Your traditional publisher, with rare exceptions nowadays, is not going to be marketing your book very well. You might get lucky, but you shouldn't count on it. And so what that means is you are your own marketer. So whether you're trad pub or whether you're indie pub, you're both in the same boats here. You are both marketing. And so I think it behooves you to get that ball rolling early, to establish whatever kind of audience you can early. Now, I will just caveat this again. I'm full of caveats today. I will caveat
So
this
many.
again. Like, I am giving advice that I myself have not taken very well. I could be doing much better on that front. I need to be doing much better on that front.
Yeah,
So, well, that's my answer. What's your answer to that?
I agree with you. Yeah, it's not if you are a private person like I am, the way that I've found it most easy to deal with this is to create an online persona. Now, it happens to be that my online persona is pretty much who I am in real life, about,
Mhm.
90-95%. Um, but, I try to stay positive in most things that I'm posting. I'm not always so happy, and I keep that for, like, my actual friends because if I feel like I need support, I need the people who understand me to give me advice because there are so many people who are well-meaning on the internet and don't know you and can actually kind of get in your head and say weird stuff. But for me, creating a persona has been helpful. Also, it allows me to connect with people in ways that I might not be able to as my true self. And in that way, I've been building a platform because I'm approachable, right?
Mhm.
Now, one of the things that people tell me about myself in real life when they first meet me is that I can come off as standoffish or like a little not judgy, but like a little like I don't want to be here. That
Sure.
could be true, but that comes out of my anxiety, and so I'm usually just like processing, processing, processing. But when people meet me online, I'm not like that at all, and that's allowed me to connect with more people. I started with 0 followers, about maybe a year and a half ago on Bluesky. I'm now at almost 1,500 followers, and most of that has been organic. I got on some lists. People put me on lists, some writing stuff. Also, political list because I made a comment about JD Vance being a DEI admit at Yale Law School, which apparently enough people liked that it put me on like some like cool people who have opinions about politics list. But most of it has been organic and most of it has been through these kind of pitch events. And
And that's
what
the
I
best
know
way to do it.
it is. And I also know that there are now people who really enjoy getting to read little snippets of my works in progress and
Mhm.
are connecting with it in a way that I am creating excitement about my work before it comes out. That is what social media is good for. You have to be your own hype person.
Mhm.
And when you're doing it, you control how it's done. You are the one driving the bus. You don't have a marketing department say, you can't say this, you can't say that. You're the one who is the best judge of what your work in progress, particularly, is like.
Yeah. Brought up a really good point, earlier, which I would summarize as you don't have to put your your actual person out there. You only need to put of yourself what you want, what you wanna deal with,
Hmm.
what you wanna expose to other people. That is not as much different than putting a fake personality out there, which I would not recommend.
Yeah.
Like influencer type people, right?
I will point out that yesterday I did create a fake Bluesky profile
I saw that, yes.
for a character in the 2 books I've been working on as part of this pitch event, and it was
Uh-huh.
fun because I am a troll at heart and I can't help myself. I have to do fake posts. But yes, you're absolutely right. I'm sorry for interrupting you, but yes,
No, that's fine.
be real. I mean, be real, but you don't need to be real about everything. I certainly
Yes.
don't put up most of my life on social media.
Sure, sure, no, be real, project what you want people to know about you, save the rest, protect your own mental health at all costs. Absolutely.
Just putting aside all of the crap that we talk about on Hot Goss, there are just so many bad takes on just people, even people who think they are genuinely being helpful. People often just dash in and they aren't looking for context or no context is given in the first place.
Mhm.
And people, you don't know who's on the other end of the other side of that computer screen. You could be dealing with somebody who's got a very thick skin or somebody who basically has paper for skin. You don't know who you're hurting. And it, particularly now, I think we could all do a better job of trying not to actively hurt people who are not who aren't actively hurting other people. Like
Right, right.
I don't mind saying, talking shit about somebody who is saying, well, why do we need to release the Epstein files? I don't mind talking shit about that person, but somebody who might have a mildly wrong take, I'm not gonna jump in there. They don't need to hear from me.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna
yeah.
judge them in private.
I think that and of course, what I would expect is that anybody listening to this podcast probably doesn't need this bit of advice. But if there's one bit of advice I could give out to people who are well-meaning, because the people who are not well-meaning, like, I can't help you, go back to Twitter. But the people who are well-meaning, just before you post that reply or repost somebody's take, are you splaining? Because if you're splaining, just delete the post. Like, I think that would cover about maybe 75-80% of just the bad, I don't even wanna
Yeah.
call it bad, just the kinda crappy takes.
I wanted to talk about a couple of positive things about social media that we have not talked about very much
Mhm.
before. We've talked in earlier episodes about obviously connecting with other writers, building a community, reaching out to potential readers, things like that. But also, it's a great opportunity to learn about this industry. There's so much
Oh,
information
yeah.
with
Oh, yeah.
so many people have. This is you're not going to find this by just Googling it, or God forbid putting it into ChatGPT. Social media is where you find out all of these people's experiences.
And what I think social media has conditioned us to do is to, like, just feel like we always have to be posting or replying. And in fact, if people would just read some fucking posts and absorb it. Like, read an agent's posts.
Mhm.
Agents have some of the best posts out there. You don't need to comment on their post. You can give them a little heart if you want. You don't need your own take. Like, just read it and absorb that information and use it how you see fit.
Yeah.
They're not putting that out there so that you need to argue about it or point
Please
out
don't.
that little tiny fucking edge case that they missed, right?
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
tell I'm really I'm pretty sore
It's
about social even the good parts of social media.
but you're totally right. Like, they often do these lengthy, like, stacked posts of, 12 parters. There's
Yeah.
so much in these posts,
Mhm.
to glean. Also, small presses have lots of
Mhm.
information when you're getting,
Mhm.
like, onto the publication end. If you're interested in small pub, there's so much. And for a lot of people who haven't, they may not even have thought about small presses. It's often kind of completely like, do these even exist? Yeah, they exist. They're doing really cool stuff too. And those presses are, you're going to be hearing from them in a way that you're not going to be hearing from Penguin
For
Random
sure.
House or Hachette or anything
For
like
sure.
that. So go for it. I would also say that don't comment pitching your book at the end of like that Agent's 12
So
parter.
cringe.
I
It's
see it
so
all the
cringe.
time. Like, don't do it. Um, I think most of us kind of pick it up that we're not
With
supposed to
the
do it.
exception of, for example, a manuscript wish list post. It's okay to say, like, if they're looking for what you're pitching, but maybe they're not super clear on it, it's okay to go in, "Hey, I have an 80,000 word adult romance, that, yes, it has, hockey lovers, but it's also got this other thing that you didn't mention. Is it okay?"
Yeah.
Like, those are okay. But to actually go in and pitch your book, unless they are actively asking for people to pitch in their thread, which you don't see a lot, don't pitch your book. It's so cringy.
Yeah. And there, pitch fests are there for you.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
many of them. Many, many, many of them. I didn't even know about Unhinged Pit until which was yesterday, until
Mhm.
I couldn't get to sleep on Friday night, and I was up for whatever reason at 2 o'clock in the morning and saw, "It's Unhinged Pit today." I'll make a fake Bluesky profile because that's very normal. But those are the events that you wanna be doing your pitch in. Also, some agents, God love them, they might say, "Pitch me." They're, on Instagram, some agents have a day a month where they'll say, "Pitch me your book." And, in I can't remember on Instagram, it's on Threads I've seen it actually. I can't remember what the Threads, like, character limit is. It's more than Blue Sky, I know, but it's like, just go for it, and if I heart it, then query me, and
Mhm.
those are kind of great opportunities to reach out in a low stakes way to an agent where you aren't sure if they would even wanna hear from you, because, of course,
Mhm.
being invited to query, it doesn't mean that they're going to, you know, make you an offer of representation, but you're understanding earlier whether or not you should bother. Yeah, though that social media can be good sometimes, but mostly it's not.
Speaking speaking of agents, if you are looking for TradPub and you are looking for an agent, when you do get that call with your agent, be sure to get the expectations, what their expectations are for social media for you.
Mhm.
Some agents have zero expectations. They don't care. Some other agents have very specific expectations for social media. So make sure that that's clear. Make sure when you're researching an agent, if you can find, it's often harder to find what their social media expectations are when you're researching them. But when you're on that call with them, make sure that your social media expectations align with their
Yeah.
expectations.
If you're somebody who doesn't wanna do, well, is open to doing some kinds of social media and not others, you should also make that clear. It it is, if you do not wanna be on TikTok, if you're somebody who's only comfortable being, written word, you need to make that clear.
there are some agents that really expect that you will have a newsletter, and some people like me, it makes my teeth itch when I think about sending out a newsletter. So
Yeah.
that's an important
I'm like,
criteria.
when would I have time to write my book? If I'm also supposed to be writing a newsletter, it is,
Yeah.
I have a supposedly big girl job, and I barely have enough time to write and query. So I also have to do chores occasionally, and it be realistic about what you can do. Sure,
Mhm.
push yourself if you feel like you can push yourself, but not at the expense of your actual writing, not at, and this is just my opinion, okay? So take it for what it's worth. Not at the expense of your actual writing, not at the expense of your mental health, not at the expense of like your actual real world connections with people. Because social media, as genuine as you want to be online, it's still fake. It's you're still presenting yourself as a product, and you're trying to sell a product, and it can incentivize you to do things that might not be comfortable. So, if you really wanna be genuine, draw a line.
And we've mentioned this before in the past too, and that is the internet never forgets. So
Mhm.
be careful about what you're putting out there, whether that's personal information, whether that is really bad takes that you will regret down the road.
Yeah.
Just, as I said before, protect yourself. Don't
Yeah.
get yourself in trouble.
Yeah, it is. I cleaned up my Twitter a long, long, long time ago before I even started doing any of this. No regrets. It had a lot of personal stuff in it. It wasn't like bad political things, or it wasn't like, "Wow, I really enjoyed going to the minstrel show last night," or anything like that. It was just it was
I
it was
do
just a
remember that time in your
oh, yeah,
life,
oh, yeah.
Megan, when you were
Yeah,
really into
I
the
know.
minstrel shows.
That's
Yeah.
right, that's right. But, it was a lot of personal stuff. I was going through a rough time in my life, and I was posting through it, as they say.
Mhm.
And it was at a time when the internet was a little less toxic than it is now. And I think in about 2017, I went back and said, "This doesn't need to exist anymore," and I nuked all of it. It was all on Twitter. I nuked all of it.
Good call.
I
Good
didn't
call.
even copy it and put it anywhere else. I said, "Fuck it. I don't care. Bye."
Mhm. Mhm.
So I would once again recommend that if you are having a problematic take that won't leave you alone, put it in your big, big list of doom and don't
Yes.
post it. So
Yes. Yes.
don't do it. So because we love social media so much, as we've just demonstrated, we're going to do some hot goss, hot
Yay.
from the internet. So this comes to you via us from Threads. Yes, Threads is back in business, baby, bringing us some more
You knew
bad,
that it would
bad
be.
takes.
You knew that it would be.
It would. And I will say, Ann Wells gave me a really good one as well, which maybe we'll save for next week. But this is the one that we found first. So, okay, here's my question to you. Sorry. Let me calm down. Okay. It's just so ludicrous. I can't help myself. If you plan on writing in a genre, should you not only read in that genre and be familiar with its expectations and its tropes, but should you also not shit all over it? I mean, I'm just gonna put that out to you. Like, should you be this kind of person who's careful? Or should you be the person who says, fuck it?
Yeah. This was such an incredibly bad take. It was, I will summarize and
Yeah.
say this person is right, or have they, yeah, they wrote a romantasy.
Mhm.
They have never read a romantasy, except that they think that most romantasies are terrible.
Yes.
So I don't know how you circle that square, but they have never read a romantasy, but they also think romantasies are terrible. They have written a romantasy, and the last romance novel that they read was published 5 or 6 years ago
It was or more.
or more.
The last romance novel they read was It Ends With Us,
Yeah, yeah.
Colleen Hoover, which is like its own kind of level of problematic.
Right.
Yeah, and she the author of this brilliant post, started reading Quicksilver and then gave up because she didn't like it.
Yeah.
So she was like, YOLO, gonna write romantasy anyway.
So she has shit all over the genre and then written in the genre.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
so to answer your question, Meagan, I'm not sure it's a great strategy.
It's probably not great. It's probably not great. It is that this person also she was a writer, an experienced writer, but
Mhm.
she was a nonfiction writer.
Nonfiction.
She was a
Yes.
nonfiction writer, and I guess thought that this would, God, I mean, these books are so dumb. Why wouldn't I be able to do it without just like pulling it out of my ass? Like, I'm an
Well, and this
experienced
is what
author.
she really doubled down on. So people were basically saying what you and I have just said is maybe you ought to read within the genre before writing within the genre. And then she was just like LOL.
Yeah,
Oh,
basically.
and these are such terrible takes. And I'm an experienced author. I've been writing nonfiction for 15 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to
Ah,
quote.
my
I
sweet
don't
summer
do a
child.
I know. I don't often like to read the direct quotes, but I'll read this one. Not reading romantasy before writing it is not something that has ever been taken negatively before today. Really? Really? Really?
Mhm.
Maybe if you read in romantasy and you took part in romantasy communities, you would see that other people who read romantasy do not like it when people think that they know how to write it because how hard can it be? How hard can it be? It is, and she was so wounded that although couching it in like LOL and stuff like that, that anybody would come for her. Why do you put this on the internet? And my God, the ratio on this one, Jesus Christmas, is look, if you have more people sharing your post, like 3 times as many people sharing your post as liking it, you
Yeah,
have a
yeah, yeah.
problem. Not even just the comments, which are like, what is that, 20 times almost?
And if this author had actually read within the genre, one of the things that they might have picked up along the way is that romantasy readers are voracious readers. They are also tend to take in a lot of the meta stuff about it.
Mhm.
They are not only interested in your book, they are interested in who writes the books.
Yes.
And so when
Yes.
you as a romantasy writer, so let's imagine a world in which this person's romantasy is a good romantasy. Despite having not read within the genre, they managed to nail it. They stuck the
Mhm.
landing. And so what's going to happen is it'll start gaining a little traction on TikTok, and then people will start looking into the author, and then it's all just going to funny that this was a social media episode. It will all start to implode for this
Mhm.
author. Does not matter how good the book is. Romantasy readers are especially interested in not just the book, but the author.
Yep. And they are very smart people
They are very smart people. They are very
and very funny people. I'm gonna do a shout out
they don't put
again.
up with no shit. Yeah.
They don't. I'm gonna give a shout out again to my favorite subreddit that I covers a topic that I'm not actually taking part in, which is Romantasy Circle Jerk. Unbelievable, absolutely X-rated. Don't let the underage see this. Is these people, it's mostly women, but there are men in there too. These people are so smart, so funny, so completely plugged into their own subculture and making fun of it all the time while still consuming it
Yeah.
just handfuls, like, just shoving it in their brains as quickly as they can. You don't wanna fuck around with these people. They are not to be fucked with. If you are not smart, if you are not delivering it, they will tear you to shreds. Look, all I'm gonna say is that I have read some trash, supposedly lit fic. Go do it with lit fic. You might
Mhm.
look,
Mhm.
it's a good time for white men in lit fic because it's always a good time for white men in lit fic. So if you wanna have some I've never read any literary fiction, and you're a white guy, go be dumb in another space is what I'm trying to say. And
Yeah.
then romantasy, they will find you.
I know. They will cut you.
They have knives. They are sharp. Lady, you are doing other writers a disservice, really. And especially other writers who are thinking about branching into new genres.
She's definitely doing herself a disservice. And like I say, she might actually have a really good idea about a romantasy book. I find it highly unlikely, not impossible, but I find it highly unlikely that she has written a good romantasy book, but maybe she has. If she has, she might want to delete this book, this post.
Yeah, but as you just said,
No, it's been shared and
the
reshared
internet,
and screen capped and yeah, so she's basically torpedoed herself before even her first agent query or, her getting it out to an
yeah.
indie publisher
And
or up on Amazon.
and it goes back to what we were saying before about like being genuine online and
Mhm.
how people can connect with that. But sometimes being your genuine self is absolutely who you don't want to be online because you're full of hot takes like this.
I wanna do a future prediction. I wanna
Okay.
do a future prediction.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna say she self-publishes this
Hmm.
or gets an agent and maybe gets a publisher. But in any case, the book is published. It gets out there. It gets out onto TikTok. And this bad take gets out on TikTok. You know what comes after that, right? The apology.
Oh, yes. Oh, the
That is a
apology.
non-apology. That
Mistakes
will
were made.
just yeah, mistakes were made.
Yeah.
My PR team.
Hmm.
This is
Me.
this is my prediction, okay? So I'm just putting it out here for posterity so that I can come back to season 2, episode 8 and say I was right.
Well, I will follow up with the Goodreads reviews will be like this. Let's say it's good.
Okay.
Let's say it's okay and it's decent
Yeah.
enough and it gets
Yeah.
published. The first
Sure.
5 reviews will be genuine reviews
Mhm.
of
5
this book.
stars. Yeah.
5 stars, 4 stars, whatever, 3 stars, whatever. And then someone will say, "Hey, do you remember this lady? She's the one who said." And then you get that first post that has like 127 replies to it, and then you start getting all of the 1-star reviews that come after this. Don't
Yeah.
buy from this person. Don't support you right shouldn't support a writer who can't support their readers. So that's my prediction. This is usually how it goes. I mean, these kind of
Mhm.
things work together.
Mhm.
Social media, sometimes good for shaming people.
Yeah, you're not gonna get me to admit that sometimes it's good. Alright, sometimes
Sometimes
it's
it
good.
is
Alright,
good.
sometimes it's
Look,
good.
Kirk, I wouldn't know you without social media.
That's true. That's true.
There you go. So, and also, I have built relationships with many people on social media, some of which have become real life relationships with people. I'm incredibly grateful for those connections. That's when social media works well. Granted, most of those happened in the before times, before everything started spinning out of control, but I still continue to meet people that I've made meaningful connections with
For sure. For sure.
and continue to grow those. So it can be done. Let's say 85% evil, maybe.
Let's say 91% evil.
So next week, Kirk's request. What are we doing?
We are doing I haven't formalized the title on this, so it could change, but things we wish agents would know and do. So we have talked about and by the way, we've been very I want to make this really clear. We've been very respectful towards agents. This
Yes.
next episode is going to be a things that we wish that some of y'all could do a little better. So we're going to frame it like that.
It's going to be positive reinforcement.
Yes.
We're going to not scorch the earth before we actually both get agents. We're going to try real
Right.
hard, real hard. So because we want you to love us. We're not that problematic.
The first 10 agents that request a full manuscript from me get lavished with praise in that episode. They're doing everything perfectly right.
Absolutely. Speaking of agents, we wanted to talk about a fundraising effort that the amazing agents Laura Zatz and Eric Hain, who run the Print Run podcast, which is amazing. And if you are not listening to it, you really should.
You
It
should.
is,
You definitely should. Yeah.
you have to listen to this. So they are 2 agents who are based in the Twin Cities. And every year they run a fundraising effort where they, through their podcast, they give 100% of all of the donations to whatever charity that they're working with. This year, they are raising money to help families who are affected by the ICE invasion of Minneapolis, St. Paul, Twin Cities area, who don't feel safe enough to go outside of their homes, to provide them with meals. This year, they are raising money to benefit Open Market at the Zion Community Commons. And they're asking people to, if they're interested in getting a query critique. I mean, that's pretty amazing from two really well respected agents. For a $100 donation, they will provide you with a query critique. And I can say 100% that whatever they're going to give you is not going to be AI. It's going to be for real deal, their thoughts about your query letter. This is an amazing opportunity. And
And I
also,
challenge you to find anyone that will do any literary agent who will do a query critique for $100,
yeah,
and let alone that it's actually going towards something really amazing and really good.
yeah.
So if you're about to hit the query trenches, even if you're in the query trenches and you're not getting the traction you think you should be getting on your query letter, this might be a really good opportunity.
And I will point out as well that if you don't need a query, but you would like to donate $100, they will take that money and apply it towards essentially like a scholarship almost for
Yes.
people who would like to have a critique of their query letter but can't afford $100. You can put that money aside. And if you're one of those people who wants one of those queries and can't afford $100, they've said reach out to them. And their email address is printrunpodcast@gmail.com. If you go to their latest episode, which was released on February 27th, it's episode 184. All of the information is in these show notes. This is something that means a lot to both Kirk and me. Now that we've completed Outed ourselves, as libs, uh, this won't come as a
I will
surprise.
be gifting a $100 query, and one of the things that they're doing is, so if you truly cannot afford that $100 and you reach out to them, they're not asking for proof. Like, you don't have to send your W-2s in, you don't have to send your paycheck stubs into them to prove that you can't afford this. They're gonna take you on your word.
Yeah,
And so if you can't afford it, if you need that query critique, do it. Reach out to them and
yeah.
just do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. So, speaking of podcasts, we have one. You listened to it just now. And we have a website as well, badletfriends.com. We are on all of the evil social media ones that we feel like being on, which are Bluesky, Instagram, and Threads. We're Badlet Friends everywhere. Our email address, you can give us $100, but I'm not going to promise it's gonna go to anything as worthwhile as this charity. Look, I have a wedding this year. If you wanna sponsor my wedding,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I'll shout you out during the vows.
I thought Taylor Swift was taking care of your whole wedding.
That's
No?
right,
Is that
Taylor's
not
n
is
yes,
that not
no, no, no. Well, but if you want to reach out, we are badletfriends@gmail.com, and we don't have any new comments this week, except to say that we love getting comments, and I did get feedback from my dad today, who listened to our last podcast and
friend
said
of
that
the show?
friend of the show 2 weeks in a row. Dad said that our last podcast about shelf novels gave him something to think about his own work that he has abandoned. Very glad to have been of use to my father this week. So give us the
Yeah.
feedback, even the ones we're like, you goddamn liberals. We'll take it. We'll take it. You're still a friend of the show. So until next time, we will see you then.
Bye.